Hello superheroes, I'm Scarlet Grace from UnseenSeraph.com, and today I'm going to share with you how Neville Goddard manifested his marriage to his specific person. Welcome back to another video. Before we begin, I wanted to let you know that I've created a free 5-day challenge that you can join that's going to help you discover and fix your manifestation blocks. Many people have seen amazing results from this challenge, so if you want to get awesome results too, then you should totally try it. It's totally free to join, and I'll put the link below in the description so you can do just that. I also want to invite you to join my Facebook community where you can ask questions, get answers and support, and suggest topics for future videos. You can find this link below in the description too. Alright, so today I'm going to share with you how Neville Goddard manifested his divorce and his subsequent marriage to his specific person. Neville talked about this in different lectures, and it's a very interesting story that very clearly illustrates how everything is possible, no matter how unlikely it seems, and exactly what he meant when he talked about living from the end result. I'm going to read you this excerpt from one of his lectures where he talks about manifesting his marriage to his specific person, and I'm going to put the link to the lecture below in the description so you can read it yourself too. And I'm also going to put the link to 2 different recordings from his lectures where he tells the story, so that you can listen to him tell the story in his own incredible and inspiring voice. So here's what Neville says about manifesting his marriage to his specific person. When I decided to marry the lady who now bears my name, I applied this principle. At the time, I was terribly involved. I had married at the age of 18 and became a father at 19. We separated that year, but I never sought a divorce. Therefore, my separation was not legal in the state of New York. 16 years later, when I fell in love and wanted to marry my present wife, I decided to sleep as though we were married. While sleeping, physically in my hotel room, I slept imaginatively in an apartment, she in one bed and I in the other. My dancing partner did not want me to marry, so she told my wife that I would be seeking a divorce and to make herself scarce, which she did, taking up residence in another state. But I persisted. Night after night, I slept in the assumption that I was happily married to the girl I love. Within a week, I received a call requesting me to be in court the next Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Giving me no reason why I should be there, I dismissed the request, thinking it was a hoax played on me by a friend. So the next Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m., I was unshaved and only casually dressed when the phone rang and the lady said, "It would be to your advantage as a public figure to be in court this morning as your wife is on trial." What a shock! I quickly thanked the lady, caught a taxi, and arrived just as court began. My wife had been caught lifting a few items from a store in New York City, which she had not paid for. Asking to speak on her behalf, I said, "She's my wife and the mother of my son. Although we have been separated for 16 years, as far as I know, she has never done this before, and I do not think she will ever do it again. We have a marvelous son. Please do nothing to her to reflect in any way upon our son, who lives with me. If I may say something, she's 8 years my senior, and may be passing through a certain emotional state which prompted her to do what she did. If you must sentence her, then please suspend it." The judge then said to me, "In all of my years on the bench, I've never heard an appeal like this. Your wife tells me you want a divorce, and here you could have tangible evidence for it, yet you plead for her release." He then sentenced her for 6 months and suspended the sentence. My wife waited for me at the back of the room and said, "Neville, that was a decent thing to do. Give me the subpoena and I will sign it." We took a taxi together, and I did that which was not legal. I served my own subpoena and she signed it. Now who was the cause of her misfortune? She lived in another state, but came to New York City to do an act for which she was to be caught and tried. So I say, every being in the world will serve your purpose. So in the end you will say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They will move under compulsion to do your will, just as my wife did. I tell this story only to illustrate the principle. You do not need to ask anyone to aid you in the answer to a prayer, for the simple reason that God is omnipotent and omniscient. He is in you as your own wonderful I amness. Everyone on the outside is your servant, your slave, ready and able to do your will. All you need to do is know what you want. Construct a scene which would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Enter the scene and remain there. If your imaginal counselor, your feeling of fulfillment, agrees with that which is used to illustrate your fulfilled desire, your fantasy will become a fact. If it does not, start all over again by creating a new scene and enter it. It costs you nothing to imagine consciously. In my own case, the scene was a bedroom of an apartment with my wife in one bed and I in the other, denoting that I was no longer living in a hotel alone. I fell asleep in that state, and within 1 week, I had the necessary papers to start action on a divorce. All right, so this is what Neville said. So let's take a closer look at this story now. So Neville couldn't marry his specific person because he was already married to a woman who refused to give him a divorce no matter what. Now, what many people would do in a case like this is focus on solving the problem, in this case, forcing the first wife to agree to a divorce. But Neville didn't do that, because this wouldn't be leaving from the end. The end result he wanted wasn't the divorce. It was being married to his specific person he was in love with. So instead of focusing on the first wife or imagining her agreeing to give him a divorce, he went straight to the end. He constructed an imaginal scene where, when he went to bed every night, he wasn't alone. He was lying in his bed, and his specific person was lying in the other bed. Now, for this scene to happen, for them to be living together, it presupposes that he had already married his specific person. He didn't concern himself with how this marriage would take place or how his first wife would finally get persuaded to give him a divorce. He went straight to the end, to the state of already being married to his loved one and sleeping in the same room with his loved one, and focused on that and let everything else take care of itself. Now everything was stacked up against him in this case. His first wife deliberately refused to give him a divorce. Not only that, but another person in his life, his dancing partner, was actively working against this divorce, going as far as telling his first wife to disappear so they couldn't find her for the divorce to happen. But Neville didn't concern himself with any of that. He persisted in imagining as if his desire had already come to pass, and in living from the end, and within a week, things happened that can only be described as miraculous, that granted the divorce he so much wanted to him, that basically handed him that divorce on a silver platter. This is why it is so important to focus on the end and to live from the end, and to not try to micromanage the manifestation process. This development that got him his divorce, it's the kind of thing no one could have predicted or thought to try to manifest. But if you persist in living from the end, then things take care of themselves in ways you never could have imagined. And notice how it only took him a week to manifest all that. And there's a second very important point in this story: forgiveness. Neville wasn't bitter towards his ex-wife, despite the problems she had caused him. He had the perfect opportunity to get revenge and force the divorce upon her, but he didn't. He chose to tell the truth and to support her. He could have thought, oh, this is my opportunity to get tangible evidence that will help me to finally get that divorce. But he chose to tell the truth instead, to forgive her for all the trouble she had caused him, and to not force her into giving him the divorce by testifying against her. And this created a miraculous outcome, where she spontaneously decided that he's a good person who had every reason to testify against her but chose not to, and she signed the divorce papers right then and there. And just like that, Neville was free to marry his specific person. So the lesson in this story is to go to the end and live from the end you desire, and let go of all the stages in the middle. Just let them go. It's not your job to create those. Your job is to live from the end, the true end, and the rest will take care of themselves. And also to forgive people for what they have done, because people just play the part you assigned to them. Everyone is you pushed out, and if you forgive them, then that thing inside you that creates them like that, like they are, that thing will dissolve, and they will change right in front of your eyes. Just like when Neville forgave his first wife and didn't use her arrest as an opportunity to get revenge and force her to give him a divorce, she was all of a sudden a different person. A person who was suddenly grateful towards him and willing to give him his desired divorce on the spot. I hope that Neville's story inspired and helped you see just how much is possible when you remain faithful to living from the end result you want, and when you're willing to let go of the past, including any grudge you hold against people, justified or not. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, then please like it and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified whenever there's a new video. Bye for now, superheroes!